So today we'll be talking about friction on the ramp of different types of surfaces. My name is Punn and my ID is 5128.
My name is Khongkwan and my name is 6615.
What is friction? Things sliding against each other causes friction. In general, friction is increased by surface roughness. Our theory for this experiment is when some object is sliding on the ground, it will face some friction unless it is a frictionless ground. When the object faces friction, it will lose energy. The energy that has been lost can be converted into heat and sound. So for the equipment and variables that we use to experiment, it's paper, sandpaper, foam, wood, stopwatch, slant surface, ruler, ball, and glue. Our model from the top view is 29.7 centimeters width and 42 centimeters in length. And from the side view, it's 19 centimeters high and 42 centimeters in length. So this is our model. We're gonna slide the ball from the top down to the bottom and measure the time it takes for each surfaces. First, we roll down the ball on the sandpaper and we measure the time it takes for the ball to roll down the sandpaper. And the time that the ball rolls on the sandpaper is 1.16 seconds with coefficient of 0.96. Next, we roll down the ball on the foam and we also time it to see how many seconds it takes for the ball to roll down the surface. So the time it takes for the ball to roll down on the foam is 0.35 seconds with the coefficient of 0.15. Next, we then roll down the ball on the paper that has no surfaces on it, just paper, and measure the time it takes to reach the bottom. So the time it takes is 0.15 seconds with the coefficient of 0.1. Lastly, we roll down the ball on a wood surface and we measure how long it takes for the ball on the wood to reach its end. The total time for the ball to roll down the wood is 0.52 seconds with coefficient of 0.2.
This is the calculation part of the sandpaper. Let's start with the formula. The GPE or gravitational potential energy is equal to KE or kinetic energy add on with friction. So when you're sliding down at the start, when you didn't release the ball have the gravitational potential energy, and then when you slide it down, there will be the friction and the kinetic energy. The formula for GPE is mgh and the K is half mv squared and the friction is mu n, which n is equal to mg. After that, you substitute all the values into each variable and to the calculation you see as it's shown here, which the velocity equals to 1.85 meter per second for sandpaper. The next calculation is the foam. We do the same thing as the sandpaper, but if you look closely, we change the coefficient of frictions. For the foam, it's 0.15 instead of the sandpaper that have the coefficient of 0.96. And as a result, the velocity is 1.934 meter per second. For paper, the coefficient of friction is 0.1 and we do the same thing as the first and the second one. So the result came out as 1.939 meters per second. For the next calculation is food. If you look in the first, second, and third one, we see exactly same thing, but the coefficient of friction of wood is 0.2, and the result is velocity of the wood, like from the wood case, is 1.929 meter per second.
So in conclusion, the two surfaces, different materials have an impact on how much friction occurs. Friction is produced when the surface is rougher, so when there is more friction, the velocity will be slower than the surfaces that has less friction, and it will also affect the time it takes to slide down from the same distance according to Surratt rules.
Also, we can see from the calculation that each of the one with different coefficient of friction have different velocity even though they are dropped from the same place with the same gravitational pull. Also, if you look closely, the one that have more coefficients of friction will have less velocity.
Thank you for watching our